What is up, my YouTube family? Welcome back to my channel. If it is your first time here, then it's just welcome to my channel, and now welcome back. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button because you will not be disappointed unless, of course, your taste level is lacking, baby. If you don't know a good thing when you see it, experience it, this may be lost upon you. Everyone else, hi, welcome. I hope everybody is well and y'all have had a good week. Y'all, this storm that is like coming up the Gulf, it cold and rainy. We went from like a nice 75-degree day to a high in the 40s. I'm not feeling it. I got attitude, ain't gonna hold you. Other than that, everything is fine. And that short I posted for Blue, I almost call him Gizmo. R.I.P. my first son. That short I posted, Blue is not growing. Ain't nothing wrong with Blue. Blue don't have no little infection, no bacteria. Blue don't have no UTI, none of the things. Blue didn't want to go outside in the cold and rain because my dogs are very well trained when it comes to pottying. If you are in the room, if somebody's in the room that can see them, they just go to the door and sit and then stare at you. If ain't nobody downstairs or around, they go to the door and they bark. So that is the system we work off of, them letting me know when they have to use it. Blue did not ring the alarm. It was cold and it was rainy. That boy all right, he ain't done it since. I said next time we have some unfavorable weather, I'm gonna take him outside, girl, hold him over the grass and squeeze him and wring him out my damn self. Cause he too old for me to be cleaning up pee. We too far in the game for that. But anyway, y'all, I think that is it for my little updates. Before I get started, I'm gonna show y'all the markers. Everything is linked below. I'm gonna be dipping back and forth between the Ohuhu Honolulu B. It's a 48 set. I love this set a whole lot. I feel like it is worth the investment. These are investment markers, but let me tell you something. I bought these in October of last year, and I'm just now having to refill 5 of them. I wrote down the numbers on the back. But yeah, and they refillable. Girl, you don't have to buy new markers. You just refill them. Having to refill 5 of them a whole 14 months later is not bad at all. And then I also dip into the Caliart brush markers. Both of them are alcohol markers. This is like a cheaper brand. I kind of feel like a lot of the times I like the way these color a lot better. Both of them are beautiful. Both of them are great and worth the money. Quality, they're neck and neck, but the color selection I feel like is where Caliart, and maybe it's because this is 121 of them, but even like some of the reds are just so beautiful and so much more rich and vibrant than the Ohuhu ones. So I say go with the Caliart, girl. I bought these in December of last year, and I have 2 of them, 2 out of the 121 that I need to refill. I might have to replace those. I don't know if Caliart does a refill or not. I might have to replace them. Let me get the answer for us right now. No, so they are not refillable. So yeah, I will have to buy replacements, but that's fine. The only downside for the Caliart is I don't like a chisel tip. So the Ohuhu has the brush side and then this like really fine tip side. Caliart has this chisel side and then the brush tip, no fine tip. So if Caliart, Miss Caliart, if you listening, girl, if you could get us a fine tip and a brush tip, I would love you forever. They would hands down just be my favorite. The chisel tip does come in handy when you're doing like wallpapers or like coloring grass or something you don't need to be even. You need to cover real fast. Child, let me get into the story. This is becoming an arts and crafts class. Let me clear my little space. All right, let me grab my book. Most of my books come from different companies. This one is Southern Lotus, but when I'm looking for a book, y'all, I just search like bold and easy, cute and easy coloring book, and you can find all kind of cute little themes. I just prefer, the spooky things, so most of mine are spooky. And we gonna do this page right here. Miss Thing doing her makeup. Let's do that. Let's get started. Put a piece of cardstock behind there so we don't bleed onto the next page. So in 2010, this pretty lady, Karai Asi, is 32, and she's living in West London where she's born, and she's also been raised. And at 32, mama's is outside, okay? She's working on the media scene. She also promotes parties, so she does a lot of club hostings. She has a radio show that she also hosts on Thursdays, and her career is really taking off. She's doing well, working big events and rubbing elbows with the who's who, the celebrities of the situation. And one day she receives a friend request on Facebook from a man who is also on the scene and doing his thing. He's a successful cardiologist based out of Kenya, but is frequently back and forth between there and the UK. and he comes from a very well-known and very respected family. He also has a wife, but things are a little bit troubled in paradise, and we'll come back to that in just a second. His name is Bobby. Now, Karat and Bobby have a few mutuals, right? Turns out he's the big cousin of JJ, a teen who is dating Karat's teen cousin, Simran. And Karat is like a big sister figure to Simran, more so than cousin. Anytime Simran needs like big sister advice, Karat is who she goes to, whether it be about life in general or specifically her relationship with JJ. And Simran often came to her cousin about relationship advice. Not long after she accepts the friend request, Bobby slides in them DMs, okay? But he's not like trying to court her. It's very just casual, very friendly conversation. He's actually talking about his relationship woes and how his wife's been cheating on him, child. He comes in like a friend who's needing advice, who's heard that she gives this great advice, and he would like some for his own relationship. And she lends him some friendly advice as well, and the two begin this pattern of like conversation. And she too has a relationship that's kind of unstable. She and her partner by then have been together off and on for the past 14 years. And this is someone she's started dating when she was just 18. So there's a lot of history there. Not a marriage, but still a significant relationship. And after all this time, he still was unsure that he wanted to go through with marrying her, which of course makes her feel away. Like, how after 14 years of knowing me, sir, don't you know? So the two of them are confiding in each other about their relationships. And ultimately, Bobby ends up telling her that he's decided to take that step and get a divorce from his wife. And so through that process, Karat continues to be a shoulder for him to, cry and vent on. Because that's what friends do. And he to her as well. She's telling him how she's feeling a lot of the pressure being 32 and unmarried, which is kind of frowned upon in her culture. And 4 months into them being pen pals, Karat's at a nightclub and it's really late. The girls are good and inebriated, and she sees a familiar face across the crowd. And it's Bobby from Facebook. The two of them have been talking for a while now, but they have not actually met in person yet. So she goes over to introduce herself to him. Now, Bobby is lit like a Christmas tree in Times Square. So with how intoxicated he is, she brushes off like how awkward and a bit weird he acts towards her off as him just being drunk, because she introduces herself to him and he's like looking at her like he's confused. Now, once he gets the divorce process started, he kind of pulls back away from her, and although she don't like it nor understand it, what is she to do? Continue trying to communicate with the man, and he's no longer answering her messages and like commenting on her things or responding to her comments. She figured he maybe gotten a divorce and met someone else, and that's where his energy and attention was, so she stops messaging him. Now then the following year, 2011, Bobby messages her out of the blue and it's like, hey, it's been a long time. Hope life's been treating you well. She responds to the message. She's happy to hear from him and to know that like everything is okay. They exchange a few messages, and then he tells her that he's got some great news to share, that he is engaged. Bobby then sends her a picture of him and his new woman on a boat cheesing. He has ghosted her and has been living his best life. She goes down to his timeline and there's a video recently uploaded of the engagement, and Karat thought it was weird just because it hadn't been a year since his divorce, but she congratulates him anyway because she's not trying to come off as a hater. Bobby tells her that he really admires her. She's someone that he's really grown to like love and respect, and he would love for her to meet his fiance Sanj. He feels like the two of them will really like each other, compliment each other, and could probably be great friends. Then she receives a friend request from Sanj, so she accepts it, and the two of the women start messaging each other. Sanj is telling her that she'd love for her to attend their wedding, and she really looks forward to meeting her after she's heard so much about her. She's telling Karat that Bobby just cherishes her so much and that she is very important to him. Right. Leading up to the wedding, Karat is in regular communication with both Sanj and Bobby. And in December of 2012, Bobby and Sanj tie the knot. Now, Karat does not attend the wedding, but she does continue to talk with them, and they keep in regular contact. And one day, while Karat is hosting her radio show, she sees a post from Sanj asking for thoughts and prayers because Bobby is in a coma fighting for his life after being pewed several times. And this had happened to him while he was in Kenya. And she is seeing this on her timeline while she is literally in the midst of a radio show. So she finishes out the rest of it with this on her mind, trying to pretend that nothing is wrong. She reaches out, but she's unable to get in contact with Sanj, and of course not Bobby either. So she contacts her cousin Simran for details, who also happens to be in Kenya at the time that all of this is going on. And Simran is very close to the family since she dates Bobby's younger cousin, so she figured that would be her best bet. And it is. Simran is there with the family. She is able to give her update and keep her informed. And she says that they're all just praying that, he pulls through. Bobby and Caliart have been friends now for 3 years, and even without physically sharing space with someone, you can have a meaningful, connection with him. So she doesn't feel that he is any less her friend than any of her other friends. In one of Simran's updates, she informs her that Bobby's been placed in witness protection and he'll be staying in the U.S., New York specifically, while he recovers. Now, Caliart has heard of witness protection, but she has never been this close to it, so she doesn't really understand how it works. She doesn't really know how to navigate this sort of thing. And with him going in witness protection, Simran's like, yeah, I probably won't have updates that often, if at all. I don't know. Like, we'll just have to see. So Caliart just goes on with her life, wishing him well, keeping him in her thoughts and prayers. Fast forward a bit of time, I'm not sure how many months, but she receives a message on Facebook from a new profile, and it's Bobby under an alias. He lets her know that he is better and gives her a little bit of insight about what happened and why he was attacked. He said it was over a failed business deal and that he's still in witness protection now. He's actually not supposed to be messaging her now, but he wanted to reach out and give her the update because she deserved to know what was going on. He also tells her that lately his mental health has been on the decline as a result. Like, all of this that he's gone through is very traumatic, and he's just having trouble continuing the fight of life, okay? According to Bobby, this whole ordeal has taken a toll not only on his physical and mental health, but his marriage as well. It's crumbling, child, under the weight of everything. Sanj is not the ride or die that he thought she was. So now they're getting a divorce, and he's just telling her like he's just really unmotivated with everything. So Caliart, feeling for him, she falls back into being his shoulder to cry on. And this is happening too right around the time she's also going through things and needing a shoulder to lean on, because she and her on again, off again partner have now, after 18 years, decided to break it off. And it wasn't because he wasn't ready to marry her. They actually were in the process of planning the wedding. And then to add insult to injury, she's now 36 and still not married, still not a mother. So she felt like she was an embarrassment to her family. So over their heartbreak, she and Bobby bond again. He tells her he actually got the okay to have a few friends to talk to. He's still in witness protection. And he tells her it's her and just a few other people that have been vetted and approved for regular communication. And he would like for her to meet the others eventually, because it just made sense for them to be like a group, or at least have a group chat. Yashvir is the first person that she meets. It's his cousin. And Yashvir has a very playful personality. He's a jokester. He's a good vibe, right? Then she receives a friend request from Raj. Raj is more like Bobby in the sense that he's like successful in the medical field and is a bit more serious. Raj is who keeps her updated on the investigation and most of the serious stuff that they don't like to talk about in front of Bobby and stress him out. So she and the two cousins she meets, they have a lot of side conversations about Bobby away from Bobby to protect his energy. So because of that, they create this other group chat without him called the Three Amigos: Caliart, Yashvir, and Raj. Now, during one of her one-on-one conversations with Bobby, he tells her that he thinks he's fallen for her and that he loves her. And she says that it kind of caught her off guard. She goes over to the group chat with the cousins and tells them she doesn't know how to feel about it, or even if she believes it to be true. And the guys are like, well, we know that he really loves you. Like, we know he said this before and we believe it. We can very well see this being the thing. It's not the medication, child, and it's not the stress. But ultimately, Caliart does not decide to act on it because she felt like he was in a vulnerable state, and she was as well, and she just felt like neither one of them were in the space to try and date anyone. So they continue to be friends. In a short time after that, Bobby has another medical emergency, and he is not doing so well. Now, Raj, the cousin that she typically gets the more serious updates from, he messages her, sending her pictures of Bobby in the hospital. He's hooked up to all of these medical devices, and it just doesn't look like he's going to pull through. He tells her that, like, of the family members, a few friends have all sent in video recordings expressing their love for Bobby, essentially saying their goodbyes to him. And even though he's in this coma, they do plan on playing them for him just in case he can hear them in the state that he is in. And Raj asks her to record one and send one as well. So she does. And in the recording, she tells him, that she loves him deeply and she'll never forget him. And she starts preparing herself for the loss of her friend. But miraculously, Bobby pulls through and is initially paralyzed on one side of his body and unable to speak at all. Now, as soon as he is able to do so, he is right back to messaging her on Facebook, sending her all of his thoughts and feelings, and he's still feeling like he needs that. Like, he's still feeling like she is the one, that they have this great bond, and that it makes sense for them to try to be together. On Valentine's Day, he messages her, quote, "With a woman like you in my life, I really am the luckiest man in the world. You should be told how amazing you are every day, all year round. I love you, my beautiful Caliart. I love you. Happy Valentine's Day." So that does it for Caliart, okay? They decide to go ahead and make it official. After 4 years of friendship online, they are in a relationship and they are talking all day, every day. Now, mind you, Bobby has lost his ability to speak, so they can't have regular phone calls, but she'll send him voice notes and he'll reply via text. They would have date nights where they would watch the same movie or TV show together. They're both fans of, well, child, we call it soccer over here, but everybody else call it football, I believe. So they will watch games together, and they will also do what grown folks do when they feeling grown over the phone, if you know what I mean. They really do try to make the most of their long distance relationship. In the meantime, they make plans for the future that includes marriage and starting a family of their own. And during one of these conversations about them starting a family and having these babies, Bobby tells her that he just knows she is the one. And he asks her to marry him. I know, it seems crazy. It's rushed. It's over the phone, He doesn't have the ring yet. But it's more about the moment and the commitment, That's truly what's most important, right? And they've only seen each other once in person. And yes, it was weird. But the bonding they've done in between then and now, and with how loved and valued he makes her feel, it just outweighs everything else. So she says yes. She is now 36. She feels like her biological clock is ticking. Caliart is elated that this lifelong dream of hers of getting married is finally coming into fruition. And Bobby is excited too. He starts looking at venues and decor before she gets to it. He's sending her places they can get married and colors and flowers and things. He sends her pictures of different rings to get her opinions of them, to try to gauge what kind of ring she likes. However, the engagement at this point is not official per their culture because the two families haven't met. And Bobby has not asked her father for permission to even propose having her hand in marriage. She does tell her mom about it, but Bobby asks that the two of them keep it a secret from Caliart's dad because Bobby doesn't want him to be offended that he kind of went around him, kind of jumped the gun. Bobby wants to first come to the UK, introduce himself to Mr. Caliart Sr. like a man, and do things the proper way. So Caliart and her mom agreed to keep the secret. Now, everybody else knows about the relationship with Bobby, but they don't know that it's gotten to that point. And Bobby tells her that he thinks that she should be first introduced to his family, and then they make their way over to see hers. And because everybody is on a different continent, they utilize Facebook to make those introductions. He creates a group called Welcoming Caliart to the Family and sends an invite to her and about 30 of his family members. Everyone is connecting with Caliart. Everyone is so nice and welcoming. And then Caliart introduces Bobby to several of her cousins. Some of them he's introduced to when they're on the phone and the cousin is present. Some of them he is introduced to over Facebook. Caliart and Bobby would spend hours on Skype calls together without video because it wasn't allowed with him being in witness protection. And with him being unable to speak, she would do most of the talking and he would just text his response and would sometimes make sounds, be a little tapping on the mic or grunting to satisfy his desire to vocally communicate with her. She'd be all at her cousin's house or her mama's house talking to this man. They were always, literally always on the phone. And it was a very regular and normal occurrence for them to fall asleep on Skype and sleep together. Now, after some time in speech therapy, Bobby is finally able to speak some, but it is barely just above a whisper, and the two begin talking on the phone, having regular phone calls. And yeah, after speaking with Bobby for the first time on one of these phone calls, her mother makes a comment about the strangeness of his voice, that it sounded squeaky, which she thought was kind of odd. But Karada is very offended by this. She ain't like her mother's comment at all. She also don't like that her mother's been asking, sort of pressuring her about when they'll get to meet him, when he'll be done in New York, how long all them wounds take to heal, like what's going on. And this frustrates Karat child. She does not like her mother asking these sort of questions. She asked her that her man not be judged, especially considering all the things that he's gone through. Child, then Father's Day rolls around and Bobby tells Karat that he's just received some shocking news that will unfortunately affect her too. Sanj, his most recent ex-wife, has informed him that she is pregnant with his child, which is confusing for Karat because that baby has to be severely overbaked unless Sanj has been tiptoeing into his hospital room down to the witness protection wing. And he admits to her that he had slept with her since they split and that it had happened on just one occasion about 9 months ago, which was before they had gotten together on Valentine's Day. So that makes Karat feel a little bit better, but it still feels like a major blow for her because, you know, her desire is to be a wife and a mother, specifically child with Bobby. And his wife, well, ex-wife, is now the mother of his child. And she just feels like it's having to watch someone else live her dream with the man that she loves. And to add insult to injury, a son is what they're having. And he is over the moon because, like, that's his dream. Karat ends up having a conversation about it with her younger cousin Simran, who is still very locked in with the family, and JJ. Now, Simran sympathizes with her, but she also tells her that she should just trust Bobby and reminds her that Bobby loves you, girl. I be around Bobby. Bobby loves you. I talk to Bobby. All Bobby talk about is you. And Karat also receives this kind of reassurance from his cousins, and everyone is basically looking at this like it's just one of those things that are unfortunate, a situation where love might not, you know, be easy, but it's worth it. So Karat decides to continue her relationship and work through this after he convinces her that she is indeed the love of his life. The two of them start reimagining their future with this baby factored in, even brainstorm names for him. The two of them will also get on Skype and then browse online for baby clothes together. Karat only has about 2 weeks to process all of this before the baby gets here. June 27th of 2015, Sanj gives birth to a beautiful, healthy baby boy. Bobby shares photos with Karat. She also sees images uploaded to Sanj's Facebook page of the baby. And I mean, how can you not love a baby? You know, Karat is really growing fond of this little baby. It's her stepson. She is really becoming accustomed to the idea of this baby being a part of her life. And for 18 months, their relationship is just riddled with unmet promises of them finally seeing each other and breathing the same air again. Her mama, her cousins, they have questions. Karat is frustrated and disappointed. And Bobby, he is expressing those same emotions as well because he's saying, like, this ain't my fault. I can't control when emergencies come up. So to satisfy her desire to be physically close to him, Bobby comes up with a plan with the help of Simran. Simran, the younger cousin, she takes a trip to NY. And she is able to talk a nurse into getting one of Bobby's shirts from him at the hospital. And she brings that shirt back when she returns to the UK. And Bobby has sprayed it down with aftershave so it's good and potent and spelling of him. Simran also gift wrapped it so it was nice and presentable to her. When they pull this off, Karat is just over the moon happy. She takes this picture of herself in his t-shirt and sends it to her man. Now, this t-shirt stunt buys him a little time, but not much, because again, there's a situation where Bobby was supposed to come to the UK and he does not see it through. Now, after this time, Bobby becomes very ill. Complications from the stroke that he has suffered, right? Then his mental health took a decline, which according to Karat was a normal pattern. Whenever he declined in health, it would have a direct impact on his mental health. So he starts leaning on Karat very heavily, always wanting to have access to her, always wanting her to start the Skype call as soon as she got off of work, and literally do everything she does for the evening while on the call, whether it's cleaning, cooking, child, taking her shower, having a glass of wine. All of this is done with the presence of Bobby, breathing on the laptop. They even start sleeping through the night, and then she would start her next day with him still on the call up until the point she had to leave for work. On Thursdays, when she has a radio show, during the show, he would be on her laptop connected to the Skype call, just in the background, listening. And Bobby, the more he would spend time with her, the more toxic he would become. Like, he starts accusing her of flirting with people that called into the show. If throughout the day she hadn't answered his text right away or had missed a phone call, he would have the worst attitude. And she tried to give him grace because of all that he is going through, but it was making her very anxious all the time. Like, she was constantly walking on eggshells. Their relationship becomes super toxic. Anytime she would express how she would feel, he would just gaslight her and tell her that she was selfish. She was only thinking about herself and not him and what he was going through. And he would tell her, like, if he lost her, he would just give up. Anytime Bobby would do too much and really get on nerves, he always would send her flowers and expensive gifts. Here's a video response she made to him after receiving a set of earrings and a necklace from him after one of his stunts.
I put them on for you and take a picture.
And over time, her family notices that she's starting to withdraw from all of them. She's not coming around. She's not answering as much as she used to. And when she is around, they notice that her light just is not as bright as it was before. But she's not really being as transparent about how toxic this thing has become with Bobby, who's actually been the one forcing all of this distance between her and her family members. And at this point, he doesn't even want her as close to his family members that he's introduced her to, that she's become close with. There would be times where he would confront her about conversations that she'd had with the other two amigos. He'd also confront them, telling them that they're spending way too much time talking to her and it's taking away from his time with her. It gets to the point where literally everything that she wants to do, she has to run through Bobby before. If there is an event and he doesn't want her to go to it, she just doesn't go. Now, finally, Bobby's witness protection contract ends, and he tells her that he's excited. This is a fresh start for them, and he's looking for flights to the UK because he's coming there right away, and they're gonna get married and do all of the things that they have been planning and discussing for the past 18 months. Now, Karat has a grandmother who is very ill, and the goal is for her to be able to see them get married. They talked about this a lot. He promises her that the wedding is coming so soon that she won't miss it, but unfortunately, she does pass away before Bobby makes it over to the UK. Bobby promises Karat that he'll make it to her grandmother's funeral and be there to support her through her grieving. And do y'all think Bobby came? Child, the day comes and Bobby has yet another excuse for why he can't make it, and now she's mad and she goes off. So he tells her, okay, I'll be there tomorrow. He sends her his flight information. She tracks the flight, whole time it's in the air. She is disappointed that he missed her grandmother's funeral, but she is very excited to be seeing her man on today. Karat offers to pick him up from the airport, and he tells her he'd rather just get there on his own, settle in before seeing her. He confirms with her once his flight arrives, lets her know when he's made it to the hotel, which hotel he is staying in. And then for the next couple of days, Bobby blows her off. After 48 hours of him being in the UK and her still not laying eyes on him, she expresses how upset she is, how disappointed she is, and then he flips it on her, telling her she doesn't consider him at all and what he is going through, that she's just so reactive, how exhausted he is from travel, how hard it was on his sick body, child. And y'all, those 2 days then turn into weeks and she has still not laid eyes on Bobby. Finally, Karat decides to show up at the hotel that he's staying at, and she is ready to knock on the hotel door. But to her surprise, the front desk tells her that there are no guests by his name staying there. There hasn't been one in the last couple weeks, not even for a day, and she is irritated. So then she calls her cousin Simran, because Simran's the only one who knows Bobby. So she's venting, and Simran is like, calm down. There must be some kind of mistake or misunderstanding. And while she's having this conversation with Simran, Bobby calls her phone. She tells him that she is at the front desk, and they're saying that they don't have his name. And he tells her that he's advised the front desk not to let anybody know that he was there. You know, all fresh off of witness protection and all. And he explains that although he may be out of witness protection now, he still has to move with caution and inconspicuously. However, Bobby refuses to come down to the lobby or let her come up to the room. Instead, he asks her to just be patient and trust him that it'll all be worth the wait. And at this point, Karat starts to think, nah, he ain't been here all this time and just been stowed away in this hotel room and not seen her just because he cannot. He must be over there playing house with Sanj and that new baby. So at this point, she decides to do some detective work on her own. She gets Sanj's number from the internet and gives her a call. Sanj answers and says hello a couple of times, and then she goes, Bobby, is that you? And instead of saying anything, Karat just hangs up because she figures that that's confirmation enough. Bobby's living a double life, baby, and he is over there playing with her emotions. So at this point, she decides to go full detective or stalker, whichever way you see fit to see it. And she looks up Sanj's physical address. Now, she drives all the way over there, camps outside, and after a while, Sanj walks out of the house, crosses the street right in front of her car, and never notices her there, completely oblivious to the fact that she is being watched. And Karat admits that at this very moment, she became so enraged that she just wanted to floor the accelerator and go right into the lady. But instead of letting her intrusive thoughts win, she sat there and thought of an alternative plan, one that won't land her in jail immediately. Instead, she goes home and decides to hire a private investigator. And this PI sends her over an address for this Bobby that she's been looking for. Now, the address is about an hour away from her. It's in Brighton, the same area where she is spotting him in the nightclub. So she hops right in her car, ready to go confront him. She gets there, walks up to the door, rings the doorbell, waits for a few seconds, and then as she is walking away from the door, Bobby opens it. She looks back at him, and then she comes back toward the door as Sanj is walking up behind him carrying a small boy. She looks at Bobby and she goes, "Hi Bobby, it's me, Karat." And before he can say anything, Sanj is like, "Bobby, who is this?" He looks back at Sanj and says, "I have no idea," which pisses Karat off. She loses it. She starts calling him a liar. She's very upset, loud and angry. She's asking him, like, how can you say that? Like, how can you literally stand here before me and say you have no idea who I am? Now, while she is doing all this hooting and hollering, Bobby again looks back at Sanj and says, "I have no idea who this lady is. I've never spoken to her in my life." And Karat is like, "Baby, why are you lying? Like, you've been talking to me for 8 long years because, y'all, this has been almost a decade." She pulls out her phone. She's like, "We have all of these messages, all of these calls." She has all of the receipts. So Sanj is confused and not knowing who to believe and asking him, if not, then why is she here? Like, if you have no idea who she is, what would bring her here? Why does she know your name? She knows my name. Karat starts hyperventilating. Bobby is telling her she must be mistaking him for somebody else. Tells her that he has a younger brother named JJ and how the two of them look familiar and maybe she's confused them. And she's like, "No, I'm not confused at all." She tells Bobby his full government name, shows him the picture she has of him inside her cell phone that she's received from him. To further prove her point, she's like, "I know your wife's whole name. This is Sanj XYZ, and y'all's baby name is this." At this point, Sanj is giving him the side eye because how does she know all of these things? Sanj takes the baby back into the house because it's giving stranger danger. How do you know my kid's name? And I don't know which one of you to believe. And Bobby is still giving confused and promising, swearing to Sanj that he has no idea. And for Karat, it was bad enough that she had invested all of this time and believed that he was coming back to the UK to be with her, only to find out that he is here with Sanj. To add insult to injury, now that he's caught, he's acting like he doesn't even know who she is. Like she's some mad woman who just showed up at his doorstep unannounced scaring them. It's insane. But then her phone rings and it's Bobby calling. And Bobby, who is still standing in the doorway, looks down at the phone. They're both looking at it and he's like, "Yeah, see, that isn't me." And there is no phone in Bobby's hand. He looks at the phone number. He's like, "Yeah, no, that definitely is not my phone number. Maybe it's somebody pretending to be me. Maybe you're confused." But Karat believes that it is just Sanj inside of the house making the call. So she continues to try to convince or like hash this out with him. She's like, "You talk to my cousin Simran all the time." And he's like, "I do know a Simran, but the only Simran I know is a young lady that my brother JJ dated briefly many years ago." And when she shows him a picture of Simran, he's like, "Yeah, I know her. Like, that's the girl." So Karat calls Simran and she's like, "Hey, I'm with Bobby right now. He's acting like he doesn't know me. He's denying our relationship and he's here with Sanj and their child, being a family." And Bobby's like, "Hey, can I please speak with her? Like, can I get a little piece of that phone?" And he's like, "Hey, I've got this lady outside my house claiming that I've known her and spoken to her for years. And Simran goes, she's my cousin. She's just confused. Don't worry about it. Give her the phone back and I'll figure out what's going on and get it straightened out. So he does. And when Karat gets the phone back, Simran tells her to leave there, just leave right away. So she heads back to her car. Meanwhile, Bobby goes into the house and deadlocks the door. Puts the little chain on for added security, everything. Because he is right. He does not know who that woman is. He has not been in a relationship with her. He's never spoken to her over the phone. It just so happened that the two had crossed paths that night in the nightclub all those years ago. But just like he was genuinely confused that night, when she approached him, he is genuinely confused right now. And that's because Karat has been getting catfished by her own little cousin, Simran, for the past 8 years, who has assumed the identity of Bobby and has been posing as him online for all of these years. Real Bobby and his wife Sanj, who've never split, by the way, are inside reeling from this very strange encounter. Because imagine a strange woman shows up to your doorstep and knows your whole family's name and says she's been in a relationship with you. Baby, I'd be spooked. They can barely wrap their head around what's going on before they hear these loud sudden bangs at the front door. It's Karat. She's back. She looks at Sanj and she says, I know you're staying at your parents' house in London. I've seen you there with your son. And she tells him that she has these presents that she wanted to give to him because she's always felt he was her stepson. And she tries to hand the gift bag to them, but they are still freaked out, girl. And real Bobby is like, lady, I'm calling the police. Child Karat takes those gifts and gets back in her car and she is crying and calls Simran back, still unaware of what's really going on and why Bobby is acting like she's a stranger. Simran is telling her to calm down, to try to breathe, because Karat is on the verge of having a panic attack. And while she is on the phone with Simran, she gets a Facebook message from Bobby apologizing and telling her that she shouldn't have had to find out that way. And she not knowing that this is still a scheme that Ty set up. She sends a bunch of angry messages back to fake Bobby telling him that he has ruined her life and wasted all of her 30s. And bright and early the next morning, she gets a message from Simran saying that she had spoken to Bobby and he had called the police, which real Bobby had called the police because who wouldn't? So Karat says she is too going to go to the police because she doesn't know what they've reported and she didn't go and go to harm them. She didn't do anything, so she didn't understand why the police were being called. But Simran tells her not to do that she's on her way over and just to wait for her to get there. But when she arrives, she don't want to come inside. Instead, she tells Karat that she doesn't think she should come inside. And when Karat asks why, Simran looks at her and says, it was all me. I'm Bobby. I'm Yashvir. I'm Raj. I'm everybody. All of these family members of his she's spoken to over the years, all of these different profiles that are in these different group chats. She was pretending to be Sanj on a fake profile back when they'd exchanged messages and Sanj had invited her to their wedding. So what was you gonna do, girl, if she had decided to show up down to the wedding? Every name that Karat asks about that she has spoken to who knows Bobby was met with that was me. In total, Simran had created a little over 60 Facebook profiles to create this web of deceit and keep this lie going for nearly a decade. And Mama said had phone relations with her cousin. Like, let's just not even breeze. Let's stop right there. Let's pull the car over and just park. Child, I'm getting back on the road. I ain't got time. She said that hearing this from her cousin made her feel physically ill. And when she told Simran that she had stolen all of these good years from her and ruined her life, Simran said, you ruined your own life. And then Simran messages Bobby and she says, it was basically me. I don't know why I did it. I need counseling to help me work through it all. I'm sorry for everything. Would you be willing to deal with it without the police? To which Bobby responds, no, I will be dealing with the police and thank you for coming clean. Good luck. Now the Brighton police give Karat a call, letting her know that they now have the full story, including Simran's confession, and let her know that she's been a victim of a crime and that she should report it to her local police station. And Bobby, he intends on pressing charges and following through as well because, girl, you have been thieving my identity. But when Karat gets back home and attempts to do the same, she is told by her local police department that she actually is not a victim of a crime and that the only victims here are real Bobby and real Sanj. Even with the whole intimacy aspect which she brought up, the fact that she did not consent to any of the things that they had done. So like, it ain't nothing there to get her on, but they did not see it her way. They did not agree. So Karada's like, okay, well, child, if we could only get her from Bobby's angle, let me go and collect all the receipts and screenshots and all of the things to help his case. And literally, as she is going through the profiles, collecting all of this stuff, the profiles are literally disappearing because Simran is over there deleting them all, child. She is working hard. And it turns out that Simran had even created a fake profile of JJ too, and that's who she was friends with on Facebook. JJ had broken up with her, and then she created a fake profile of JJ and a lot of his family members and started this thing with her cousin. Garad goes and reverse searches some of their images to like see who some of these people are, and a lot of them are actually real people with real profiles that she's just been taking pictures from. Simran's scheme was so intricate. Remember how I mentioned that Bobby and Karat would browse baby clothes online together? After the baby was born, Bobby had sent images to Karat of the baby wearing some of the clothes that they picked out and bought. Well, Karat had purchased some of these clothes and had sent them to Bobby. And when she received the pictures, Karat was like, oh, that's so nice of Sanj to, you know, be putting the clothes that I bought on the baby's back fresh out the hospital. Like, we might be able to co-parent as a three-way. She might not be an issue. But what really happened, real Bobby and Sanj's baby was already born, okay? Simran had gone to Sanj's profile, the real Sanj, found pictures of the baby, found out where those outfits came from, and then while on the Zoom call with Karat, she like led her to picking out these outfits and purchasing the exact ones real Bobby's baby already had. So several weeks later, when fake baby Bobby is born, she just sent the pictures over to Karat then to make it look like this was the brand new baby in brand new clothes. Ain't that sick? Now, Simra has never been charged with any crime related to her catfishing scheme, as catfishing is not considered a crime in the UK. In 2020, Karat won a substantial settlement in a civil case against her cousin for harassment, misuse of private information, and data protection breaches. And despite the small victory, Karat has remained committed to telling her story in hopes of achieving some criminal justice for herself. Because, girl, what do you mean this ain't against the law? What do you mean? There is a Netflix special about this called Sweet Bobby, My Catfish Nightmare. And in response, Simran provided the following statement via her lawyer. She said, quote, this matter concerns a family dispute over events that began over a decade ago when I was a schoolgirl. As far as I'm concerned, this is a private family matter that has been resolved, and I strongly object to the numerous unfounded and seriously defamatory accusations that have been made about me, as well as details of private matters that have been shared with the media. Now, a former classmate of hers did come forward claiming that she was caught creating fake profiles back in the day in school. Like, this is something she been doing. And since the airing of the story in media, she has left her job working at a well-known British bank. All of her social media profiles have been deleted, and she has virtually no online presence, at least not as her true self. Because, child, she out there, I bet. Okay? I bet she out there. But one of y'all photos. Y'all's girl is back. Y'all's niece is back. I'm gonna put her in a full Nelson. Here's the mommy. You want to see my picture, mommy? Let me show my girl the picture we colored. Look, girl. Bella, you looking at? She don't care. Child, we did good. I had to do a couple of practice rounds over to the side. Y'all, and that is it for this story. I really want to know y'all thoughts, baby. I can't wait to see what y'all got to say in the comments. And I'm gonna let you know right now. If this was your cousin, how would you handle it? If it was personally my cousin, I would have had to just fight her in the street. I'm so about it. Like, I'm talking about like two stray cats over a whole grilled fish. Do you hear me? And I'm talking about every time I see her, every Thanksgiving, girl. But honestly, I hate to say it. I hope I don't sound ridiculous or heartless, but Miss Karat, you gotta take some of the responsibility, girl. I know girls be vulnerable in things, but did you deserve the coldness of her saying you ruined your own life? Like, girl, whatever? No. However, y'all was in that together. Y'all both played key roles in the thing. I got catfish one time. It was the summer between my senior year, graduating high school and going off to college, girl. I got a little piece of catfish on MySpace, but who didn't get catfished on MySpace, you know? And you know what? This person was pretending to be themselves and a friend. Both of them was supposed to be, you know, being students there. I was a little iffy when I got to orientation and they just was the communication was lacking, and it wasn't like everybody. I met my roommate, other people, because this was Clark Atlanta. Back when I was a young tender on campus, they had this thing for us to join for that summer where you can meet people and talk to them so you can, make connections before you arrive. Y'all, by the time I moved on campus, I realized I said, baby, it's not real. Like, the term catfish didn't exist quite yet, but the act has been around for a while, okay? And I was like, yeah, this person is likely just not who they say they are. Anyway, that's my little catfishing story, child. You been catfished? Let me know. Also, Mama has been watching TV lately. What did I watch? All Her Fault on Paramount. A good show. And now I'm watching It Welcome to Derry. I thought the show had wrapped. I'm irritated because one thing I don't really like, the only show I like to watch in real time, like week to week, is From. That's it. Anything else I'm interested in, I'll just wait till the whole season finish, and then I'll just watch it, at my leisure. I just don't like the girls having me by the nuts for weeks, waiting to find out what happened. I just don't like to be in that space. And now I've accidentally walked into that space with it. I absolutely love this show. This is my introduction to Pennywise and It. Granted, I was Pennywise in 2018 for Halloween. I had no idea, like, what he was about other than him being, like, a killer clown. You know what I'm saying? And that he was from Stephen King's It. I have not seen The Shining. I don't know anything about the Stephen King multiverse. That's quite a bit before my time. And I know he's like an OG and a classic, but I think I'm really starting to like his lore. I kind of like what he got going on. And the show, like the nightmares on the show are so good. I love the graphics. It's just disturbing and grotesque and so real looking. Oh, give it to me. Shoot it in my veins. So yeah, girl, I'm watching that show. I recommend both if you don't currently have them on your TV screens. What else we gotta tell them, Bella? Bella is curling up in my lap. My baby is ready. Oh, my sweet Pika. She's so cute. Oh, y'all just can't see her. I'm gonna have to insert this video of her. She's just in my lap with her little heels tucked. The mommy girl. Anywho, I have talked enough. The video is long enough. I'm gonna stop it here. Please let me know your thoughts down below. Don't forget to like the video before you leave. Subscribe to the channel if you have not. Share the video with a friend. As always, I appreciate you so much for spending your time with me. And I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Peace. 1, 2, 3, release. I wish they haven't had a phone to call you up. Wait, we're not doing it this video. We're not. Both of them are alcohol markers. This is I wish they haven't. It's the very demure spooky. Now that I can't read, girl. Very demure, very spooky. 1, 2, 3, release them. You know what's really irritating me? When I lean in to like really get to coloring and the focus goes off. But now I don't want to do it when I'm doing it on purpose. So it's like, girl, what am I? Anyway. See, look at it, doing it again. Oh Lord, Bella looks out this window, child, at this dog. Y'all might hear her go ham. Bella. Pig. Enough. Hey. Relax. It's okay. See? It's okay. Good girl. I know. Good job. Now she just gonna stare at him go down the street. She mad, but she quiet. Good girl. Good job, Pig. You said you're a good girl, Pig. You're a good girl. Child, you wasn't always no good girl. You was a terrible girl in the beginning. The worst girl. Y'all remember them days? Oh, I cried to y'all. Oh, y'all remember them days I was going to have to give my baby away. And I cried to y'all. I didn't want to do it. She cost me so much money in trading fees. Hallelujah. Better days. Back to this. She's still crazy, but, it's manageable. I kind of got her figured out, Now, shortly after Bobby, or she accepts the and then they want to throw out of focus again. Like, please, why am I, I can only go back so far. I gotta be able to color. Okay. Let me just try not to move so much. Try not just remove my little false nails. So they're a little rough today, but we gonna ignore that part. Now, less than a year goes by, but now leading up to the wedding, I feel like the way wedding came out of my mouth just didn't even sound. And what they mean by this, talking about don't shake me. I shook it. What was I supposed to do? Suck out all the, it was stuffed down to the bottom and it's collecting now. Fast forward several months. I'm not sure. I was gonna say sure or exactly. Now when she is talking to Bobby, she tries to keep things, come on, focus. Focus. We got company. Hey baby, how you get mommy widow Jenkins? Thank you for your widow Jenkins. He's a good girl, good girl. Yeah, look at my big girl. Look at my big girl. My sweet teen. You wanna get down? Great. His counting down, plus marriage has been a lifelong dream before. And asks his wife's hand in well, that ain't the wife. It's corrupt that he's just received some unless Sean and child, as time went on, the list when she expresses now the PI sends her over to the address is about an hour drive away from London and Brighton. Shows him pictures of him. Simran is telling her to calm down and try to breathe. Apologizing and telling her that she shouldn't have to have. I can't say it. And then Simran messages Bobby, real Bobby. Well, she fake Bobby girl. She can't message herself. Child, I want to do a sunflower wallpaper, but I don't know, child. We gonna see how it turn out. I'm gonna do my best. I don't know why I did not color her and the reflection at the same time.